This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Top health officials warn the next couple of weeks are critical to containing the surge of COVID-19. Hospitalizations are up in at least 21 states, but there's some good news. They say the U.S. will likely have a vaccine for the virus by year's end or early next year. Caitlin Burke has more.
A troubling assessment of the state of COVID here in the U.S.
We're now seeing a disturbing surge of infections.
This fall and winter is going to be difficult, and we need to be prepared for it.
Across the country, states are seeing spikes in both hospitalizations and the rate of positive cases. Texas and Florida both seeing surges, and Arizona seeing a record number of new cases ahead of a Tuesday Trump event. Still, thousands packed into a Phoenix megachurch, most taking no precautions.
The person feels like they don't need to wear a mask. I don't think that they should be forced to wear a mask.
America's top infectious disease doctor warning that this type of mass gathering is exactly what people should avoid.
So, plan A, don't go in a crowd. Plan B, if you do, make sure you wear a mask.
Dr. Anthony Fauci and other top health experts testified before Congress Tuesday, explaining that the next couple of weeks are going to be critical. They also addressed this controversial comment made by the president.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
In an exclusive interview with CBN's David Brody, President Trump said he never actually made that order.
But just to clear up, there wasn't a direct order, if you will, to staff to stop the testing.
No,
Okay.
but I think we put ourselves at a disadvantage.
Members of the task force confirmed that statement.
None of us have ever been told to slow down on testing. That just is a fact. In fact, we will be doing more testing.
All of us have been and continue to be committed to increasing readily, timely access to testing.
Fauci did have some good news for Congress concerning the status of a vaccine.
I believe it will be when and not if we get favorable candidates with good results. We will be able to make them available to the American public, as I said to this committee months ago, within a year from when we started, which would put us at the end of this calendar year and the beginning of 2021.
One of the most promising vaccines moves into phase 3 of study next month. Fauci says he's cautiously optimistic. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Thanks, Caitlin. Well, 3 of the world's leading international economic institutions warn it may take at least 2 years for the global economy to regain what it's lost during this pandemic. Here in the U.S. on Wall Street today, the Dow sunk by 3%. Experts blame rising COVID-19 cases in several states for the drop, the sharpest drop since June 11th. Some studies show the economy is already halfway back to normal, but data by the firm IHS Markit shows a gradual economic decline through June, suggesting it could bottom out and rebound soon. The study found slower decline in countries with stricter stay-at-home orders. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is considering another stimulus package that could be passed in July. Well, joining us now to talk more about how the coronavirus is affecting the economy is our friend, financial expert Dan Celia. Dan, thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here with you, Wendy. Thank you.
All right. Well, Dan, a lot of conflicting information out there right now. How is the economy really doing right now, and what does the future look like?
Well, the future is going to depend on how quickly, obviously, that we can get open. And I think we're doing a pretty good job. We're starting to get open. This is going to be a setback for us, these new cases, particularly in the hot spots of Texas and Arizona, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, these are areas of a lot of spending, economy, people out and about, vacationing, so on and so forth. That is going to slow things down. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But more importantly, it's going to darken a little bit some of the light we see at the end of the tunnel. It's going to hurt optimism about the economy, and it's going to hurt business sentiment a little bit as they are sitting back saying, you know, we better be careful. We better not move too fast. So hopefully that doesn't happen. All in all, though, I think that we'll get past this period of time and we'll continue to keep moving. Of course, everybody's anticipating that we are not going to shut the economy down again, but we may have to put some fires out.
Well, Dan, how is the U.S. recovery moving compared to, say, other economies who were hit hard by the virus as well?
Yeah, we are actually, Wendy, a little bit behind some of the other countries, but then again, they started a little bit sooner than us, so we're a little bit behind. But I think for the size of our country, we are doing very, very well. When we look at us compared to China, you really can't compare it because we would have to believe everything they're saying that's coming out of China, which we just can't. We just can't believe it. So there are some people with feet on the ground there in China that are indicating a different story than what China is telling us, and we don't think they're doing all that well. But we're seeing a resurgence in South Korea, for instance, one of the countries that was doing so well from the very beginning, and they never really did have the kind of spread that we did. So, of course, when you look at some of those countries, it looks like we are lagging behind. And if we are, it's only a timing issue more than anything.
Dan, if a second wave of the virus hits, as predicted, will the U.S. see more layoffs and increased unemployment again?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some of the new rehires that we've already happened start to maybe lay off again. And that's a very, strong possibility that we will see that. I don't think we're going to see unemployment numbers like we've seen because, we're already at a very high level. So we're not going to see those big numbers of 8-9 million. But nonetheless, we are going to continue to see layoffs. I think Thursday is going to be an interesting day to see what happens this week. And then we head into the heart of summer, short weeks, low trading, low volume, and hopefully we can maintain some optimism through the summer season.
What's special about Thursday?
Thursday is the unemployment claims. So we get our first-time unemployment claims. They come out every Thursday morning, and they're where the numbers have really, really been big. Now, we saw a good, 2 million last week. That's huge by any other standard, but compared to what we've seen, it's down dramatically. So we'll see what it looks like. I'm hoping that it's going to be down tomorrow morning, and we're not going to see huge numbers. But in the coming weeks, we could start seeing that pick up. But at the same time, there's a lot of resort areas that are staying open and are hiring as usual for their summer help, and that's going to help that unemployment number a little bit.
Yeah. That's some good news there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that light at the end of the tunnel gets a little brighter. Dan, we always appreciate your insights. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Wendy. I sure appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, in Mississippi, several groups are calling for their state flag to be changed because it has a Confederate emblem. The Mississippi Baptist Convention, which is majority white, said lawmakers have a moral obligation to remove the emblem from the flag because many people are hurt and shamed by it. Walmart says it will stop displaying the flag while the state debates whether to change the design. The Mississippi Legislative Black Caucus is also calling for it to be changed, saying the state should have one unifying flag. In other news, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the U.S. is pushing for an extension to the arms embargo against Iran at the United Nations. This comes a week after Iran test-fired cruise missiles in a naval exercise in the Gulf of Oman and northern Indian Ocean. Iranian state TV showed missiles being launched and hitting targets. The Islamic Republic News Agency reported the missiles could reach up to 170 miles. Last week's drill was the first since May when a missile fired during an Iranian training exercise mistakenly struck an Iranian naval vessel in the Strait of Hormuz, killing 19 sailors and wounding 15 others. It also comes after a tense naval encounter between Iranian and U.S. forces in the nearby Persian Gulf.
Working diligently to make sure everybody understands the risk that's associated with the arms embargo expiring. This is really dangerous for the whole world, for the region. The Gulf states know it too. There's tremendous support for what it is we're trying to do. I think all but a couple of nations understand that this should not expire. Iran will be able to purchase advanced weapon systems and become the arms dealer of choice for terrorists and rogue regimes all throughout the world. This is unacceptable.
Pompeo also spoke about his meeting with his Chinese counterpart in Hawaii last week and the push for more information on COVID-19. For more political coverage, tune into Faith Nation this evening. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, the pandemic put a halt to businesses, schools, and even professional sports, leaving some athletes lost. How one organization is working to encourage athletes who may be experiencing an identity crisis. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Having sex before you're married is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Welcome back. The U.S. Department of Justice is weighing in on a battle in Idaho over whether transgender athletes can compete in women's sports. The ACLU is suing the state over a new law that bans boys and men that identify as female from competing against females in public schools and colleges. The ACLU says the Idaho law discriminates and violates the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. But on Friday, the Department of Justice said it supports the law. The Justice Department wrote, quote, "The Equal Protection Clause does not require states to abandon their efforts to provide biological women with equal opportunity to compete for and enjoy the lifelong benefits that flow from participation in school athletics in order to accommodate the team preference of transgender athletes." Athletes are also facing lots of challenges right now around COVID-19. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes is reaching out to students and coaches around the world who face a host of uncertainties about their sports in the next year. And now we are joined by Dan Britton, the FCA's Chief Field Officer. Dan, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, what are you hearing from your athletes and coaches? What are some of the obstacles they're facing during this pandemic?
Yeah, Wendy, since 1954, for the last 65 years, God has used FCA not only here in the U.S., but around the world in 92 different countries. So we work with 2 million coaches and athletes in every different age level. We say from 8 to 80, no matter what kind of athlete you are. But what we're experiencing is for the first time in our history that we're not allowed to do overnight camps. Last summer, we had 805 camps with 90,000 coaches and athletes that would have a week of inspiration and perspiration. And when we had to shift and realize that in the midst of this pandemic, we're talking about athletes' identity, understanding that, hey, your identity is not your sport, but your identity is Christ. You're going to be 100% athlete, 100% coach, based off of our theme, which is Mark 12:30, that love your Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. And so we're seeing God do amazing things, allowing us to do virtual ministry, reaching coaches and athletes we'd never be able to reach before until this time.
So that you kind of answered my next question. So you are doing more virtual ministry right now. How does that work? You know, when normally, like you said, you had camps and everybody was out perspiring. How does that work virtually?
Yeah, not too much sweating anymore, at least on each other. But we find that what God is doing is we've always done a lot of virtual stuff. We've partnered up with YouVersion with reading plans and devotions. We've connected with coaches and athletes in different training environments, Wendy. But what we realized is we moved our staff to the point of let's capitalize on this time for such a time as this to be able to gather. And so we actually did a coaches camp that normally we'd get 200 to 300 coaches at down the South. We had over 1,000 coaches and their spouses sign up for it. We had Tony Dungy speaking into them. We probably never have Tony be able to be available to come speak. And so we saw record numbers in our virtual camps as we stepped into that space to see what God would do.
And I love what you said earlier about, building them up in their identity, not so much as athletes, but in who they are in Jesus Christ. And what has been the feedback from these young athletes?
Yeah, it's, I think a lot of them are feeling a sense of loss, like their season was taken away. Hey, their last season was taken away, their senior season. I have 3 kids, all played college lacrosse. My youngest was a senior at Liberty University, and after 4 years and 14 years of playing the game of lacrosse, wow, his last season, he got his entire season taken away from him. And just to walk with him as a family, to know what the loss is, and then as a ministry, Wendy, to be able to know that there is literally hundreds of thousands of athletes that are feeling the same sense, but to ground them back to God's word and to say that it's all about the relationship with Christ, that your identity is in Christ, your sport doesn't define you, Christ defines you, and what we get to do and glorify him is through our sport.
I got chills when you were talking about your son, and I just really feel like, God saw that sacrifice that all of these young people have made and older people. And do you believe, I believe in a God who can make that up, Ephesians 3:20, don't you?
Yes, I totally agree. I see that even though he had a sense of loss that he couldn't finish out his season that last year, we're already seeing how God's positioning him, and we're talking to other athletes that God is reconciling, that we're seeing redemption being done in this sense of loss, that God is positioning them for greatness.
Amen. Dan Britton with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, thank you so much for being with us today. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right, well, still ahead. You know his name from his family's famous brand of rum, but his life is one of miracles. Now, George McCarty's story is being told in an upcoming film, and we'll tell you why he thanks God for every breath he takes right after this.
Yeah, I got that.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
On the Home Front, Tuesday morning at 10:30.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
The Bacardi family has manufactured rum for more than 100 years, and there are many family tales to be told. George Bacardi's life is one of the miracle stories. He survived without fully breathing until he was in his 60s. Today, he thanks God for every breath he takes. The story is being told in an upcoming film called Two Hearts, and it connects two families in an amazing way. Studio 5 has an exclusive first look at the film before it hits theaters in September. We're also chatting with George's wife and the actress who plays her on the big screen.
But the truth is, we're all just one connection away from something incredible.
Is there anything I can do for you?
You could hold my hand.
You don't waste time, do you?
Tell me what it's like to see you and your husband's story play out on film.
Well, it's a little intimidating, to tell you the truth. We tend to be very private people, but we certainly thought that it was a good story to tell and give everybody hope that miracles do happen.
I don't want this to end.
Chris.
We've been married for 46 years now.
Given your history, we're not very optimistic.
Every morning I wake up and I turn over in my bed and I look and see that he is still there. Makes me a very happy woman to know that I'm still in love with the man I started with. So it's been a great life together. Rhoda Mitchell, who played my role, did a brilliant job.
If you don't fight for yourself, fight for me.
You know, I was lucky to play Leslie. She's a really amazing woman in real life. It was one of the most sort of moving experiences in my acting career.
I believe the connections are everywhere. The kindness of a stranger, the first heartbeat of a baby. Is that it?
No, that's the umbilical cord.
The love of your family.
No matter what happens, there's always a reason.
And I believe each one of us has a purpose.
What was it about this story that made you want to be a part of it?
It's in some ways a painful story, but in some ways a very inspiring story.
Chris?
I was so scared. I realized that I was more than I ever thought I was.
The nurses are calling him Superman.
I had a vision. I knew what I had to do.
I think the movie's wholesome. It's the kind of movie you can watch with your whole family. And it deals with really difficult subject matter, but also brings a lot of light. And I hope that people see this film and feel inspired.
Very well acted. Well, Two Hearts hits theaters in September, and tonight on Studio 5 we'll have the story, plus conversations recording artists Jabari Johnson and Dolly Parton. And you can catch it all on Studio 5 tonight at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Up next, how an organization of volunteer pilots are making a difference as the country continues to battle the coronavirus.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man. Come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
All right, a nonprofit group of volunteer pilots being dubbed Angels in the Sky as they help people in need across the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. The group Angel Flight Northeast has now flown about 400 flights in 15 states since the pandemic. Pilots deliver vital protective gear to hospitals. They've gone to Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. They've brought coronavirus test kits to Minnesota, delivered food, water, and clothes to Navajo communities. They even helped one family whose son is battling cancer relocate from Massachusetts to California.
In these COVID times, we may lose track of the fact that there are people who have other medical issues that they're dealing with.
We're just really touched that, you know, someone who doesn't even know us is willing to do this. We're really grateful.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you'll join us next time. From all of us here, have a great day and God bless you.